Welcome to the Creative Ascension Podcast. If you're looking for a space to fit in, this ain't it. This is a space for the ones who were never meant to. You know who you are, the rebel light leaders, the artists, the conscious parents, the soul-led entrepreneurs, and the unnicheable modern mystics. The ones who feel it in their bones that there's another way to live, lead, and create. Here, leadership isn't a strategy, it is embodied. Creativity is not a skill, it's your life force, and your life itself becomes art. This is where we break from conformity and really return to sovereign self-expression, where business is an ascension pathway. The body becomes the anchor, and your creative power becomes that thing that sets you free. The Creative Ascension Podcast explores embodied leadership, spiritual entrepreneurship, and conscious creation for the visionary leaders building the new earth. Each week, we dive into raw, real, and activating conversations with the ones who are walking it. The artists, the builders, the disruptors, the cosmic architects of the new paradigm. The ones like you who are choosing truth over approval, freedom over safety, and expression over perfection. I'm Debbie Lim, creative, visual alchemist, new earth artist, and this is your reminder, your body is the canvas, your frequency is the paintbrush, and your life is the masterpiece waiting to be lived. Welcome to Creative Ascension. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce today's guest, a luminous soul sister, multidimensional healer, and divine creatrix whose work is rooted in the ancient and transformational frequency of the rose. Laura Denktash is a divine creatrix and multidimensional healer who brings her light to the world through art, dance, writing, and sacred soul offerings. Her medicine is deeply intertwined with the Rose Codex, a powerful body of work and spiritual transmission that activates remembrance, healing, and divine feminine mastery. Laura's creations, including the Codex of Creativity, the Rose Codex Mystery School, and her upcoming book, The Rose Codex, The Art of Divine Remembrance, and the Rose and Galactic Rose Oracle Days. I'm super excited to talk about that. Set to launch next year, are the living embodiments of her soul mission. Well, Laura, I'm so excited to have you here and just can't wait to see where this conversation flows to. It's always so exciting to share the space with one such as you, such a beautiful, creative spirit, and I just love the frequency of what you are bringing through. So needed in the world at this time. So tell us a little bit more about you. I always am really interested to know, like, how did this codex body of work arrive in your life? When did the rose make itself known to you? How far back does it all go? And tell us a little bit more about how this all got started with you.
Okay. Well, I think it really started when I was a toddler because my grandmother, Catalina, she was a gardener and very spiritual person. And she was born in Mexico and had migrated to the San Francisco where we lived. And she used to take me in a walk in the garden every day. Yeah, after she finished her chores and everything, she would enjoy her splendor in the garden because that was her favorite thing. And I noticed that she always gave very special attention to her roses. And I believe that she is the one that first anointed me, because she would, ask me to inhale the fragrance and, to touch it and to gaze upon it and, telling me that I could go inside the rose and be safe and, just really beautiful things. And she would say how divine it was. And she was very, very, she was Catholic. And so she was tuned into Mother Mary and tuned into the Virgin of Guadalupe. And of course, she felt that that the rose embodied those. And so that spirit of that embodiment was transferred to me. But I was unaware. I was just, having fun in the garden. And, yeah, oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And it would make me feel very happy and safe. And that's what I remember the most now, because I've been going on a journey, obviously backtracking everything to understand what was the lineage, where did it start, and so I'm glad you asked me that, because um, as I grew up, um, I didn't think about it much later on. Roses were beautiful. I appreciated them. I loved them, and I thought they were beautiful. But the most important thing that happened was much later, and that's when I was studying herbs in a place called the Dry Creek Herb Farm, and that was located in Auburn, California. And I was into my 5th year as an apprentice there. And the final closing ceremony would always be in May. So it was a 9-month journey each year from September to May. And then we would have a celebration and a May Day festival and making food and, just having festivities. So the final year, the owner decided to sell and move to Oregon. So that was the final celebration in May. And that day, I felt, first of all, the gardens were beautiful. It was a beautiful farm. It wasn't real big, but it was packed with just herbs and flowers and giant sunflowers and, animals. And it was just, she had a yurt there where we stayed. And we drummed and we did all kinds of really fun things. And she had visitors coming, different teachers. One time we built a sweat lodge by hand. We had a Native American visit with us, and we didn't even know it was going to happen. We just knew this Native American pipe carrier was coming, and we were going to spend the day with him. But we had no idea that we were going to build a sweat lodge and sweat in it that night, you know. So all of a sudden, he's handing out these big buck knives and saying, this is what you're going to use. This is all you're going to get. No tools. This is it. So I have this huge buck knife in my hand that I've never handled one, and and we're, shaving down willow trees, stems, not stems, trunks, but they're narrow, and we're going to learn how to shave them down and bend them and put them into shape and build this thing and cover it with blankets. And by the end of the night, we're sweating in a sweat lodge that wasn't there in the morning. So those kinds of magical things were happening there. But on this day of the final festivities, I felt like something was really magical in the air. And it was like humming, The air is just the gentlest breeze, just enough to make you feel enchanted, right? And I see these huge sunflowers they're going back like this, back and forth, slowly, and they're big, big, right? And I thought, this is really something. I'm so sorry we have to leave this place. What am I going to do? I was feeling happy and sad at the same time. And I was from the city, and a lot of the women there were more country. They were from out districts where closer to the farm, because it was about 120 miles. I don't know how much that is in kilometers, but it was 120 miles from where I lived. So I would drive there. But that day, I just felt this sense of peace and safety and beauty that was overwhelming. And as we reached like the end of the ceremonies and things, we had a potluck luncheon, and everybody brought food, and we were stuffing ourselves and enjoying everything. And all of a sudden, at the getting towards the end of the lunch, this one woman goes to her truck, and she gets out this little cooler, and she says, um, I got something here for you to share here. And I go, oh, well, what is it? So she opens up the cooler, and before I know it, she's got 2 tubs of ice cream that she's made. And she immediately puts this little tasting spoon in my hand, and she says, this one is rose and this one is lavender. Here's the spoon. Tell me what you think, you know. And so I thought, oh, I like the rose. It's so pretty. It's this most beautiful color of light, pale, icy pink. And I couldn't resist. So so I take this little spoon and I start to taste this. And I was the only one. Everybody else was eating brownies and cookies and all this. And here I am with this woman tasting her ice cream. So I started tasting it, and something really unusual happened. What happened was the rose, it went straight to my heart.
Mm.
It did not go in my stomach, okay? I kept taking it in, and I felt like it's going in my heart. The rose is going in my heart, and it's expanding my heart, and I started to feel like the unusual sense of joy, right? And there was a woman next to me, Marina, and she was a Reiki master, and she had taken me through Reiki and everything. And she was like the elder of the group, and she was also a pipe carrier, so she was highly respected. And I was feeling almost overcome with this feeling. And I said, here, taste this, there's something going on, and so she goes, oh, what is it? Oh, it's rose ice cream. How beautiful. Oh, look, it's so pretty, la la la, and so she tastes it and she goes, yeah, and let me have some more of that. So we're sitting here and we're like shoveling on this little tiny spoon this rose into our bodies. And I said to her, I can't stop. I can't stop eating this. But nevertheless, it wasn't going in my stomach. It was going to my heart. And I said, this is exquisite. I said, this must be what angels eat or something. That's how it felt. It felt so high. And and she was going, yeah, this, I feel it. I don't know what I feel, but I feel it. It was really charged. So we're going and eating it. And then all of a sudden, I hear in my right ear 2 voices, like in stereo, and it says, you're going to write a book about cooking with roses. And you know, I look around like, okay. And then before I even thought about it, I announce, I'm going to write a book about cooking with roses. Like that. And everybody goes, wow, that's a good idea. Hey, Laura's going to write a book about cooking with roses. And chirp, 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 it was going through the group. Everybody's going, wow, that's exciting. That's a good idea. That's wonderful. I never heard of that before. That's a really great idea. So I got this instant gratification of this idea that I didn't even know I had, that came to me in voices that I now know was Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene.
Mm.
They spoke to me and gave me this mission. So,
Amazing.
needless to say, needless to say,
I was not expecting you to say that. I have to say that it was about rose ice cream. I love it. Yeah, just amazing. I can see that garden. I feel like I'm there with you, swaying with the sunflowers and the scents and the smells. So I love that you've had those two experiences, which to me sound like they're just filled with so much purity,
Hmm.
innocence, delight. It's almost like, the simplicity of coming back to what we're here for, right? Which is to feel, to sense, to eat, to taste, and to let nature activate us in that way. So
Hmm.
that's amazing, so powerful. And as you're speaking, I'm an essential oil lover from way back, and I haven't had any rose in my collection for a while, so I'll definitely be ordering it today.
Yes.
You've
Yeah.
activated me already because
Oh,
yeah,
good.
it's such powerful medicine for the heart, right? And
Yes. The highest frequency of all essential oils.
it's like 300 and I wrote it down,
60
20,
or
something
something.
like that.
Yeah.
And our
Yeah.
body is only what, 60, between 60 and 70
Right.
or something. So
Right.
holy moly, she's
Yeah. The
a
frequency
powerhouse.
is definitely jamming, you
And
know.
when you smell it, it's so subtle and so soft. So I think there's that in itself is part of her magic, right? Is that
Hmm.
my journey definitely has been one of de-armoring the heart and learning to soften and finding that that actually is where, our true strength lies. So, what have you experienced in yourself having been awoken in such a beautiful way with the rose? How's she infused through like your personal evolution, do you think, as a soul?
Well, I think it's been an ongoing journey, and I really only took note of it this last summer when I mean, okay, so I wrote the book,
Yes, you
and
did
that
do the book. So you did
I
the,
did do
the
the book, but it took me a long time. It took me, dare I say, 7 years. Okay. But, I was working, I was in corporate, I was doing, the things that I should not have been doing, just living and what we do to make money and get by, and just not the right things that we should be doing. But I always would go into something else to keep myself invigorated because you're a creator, I'm a creator, creatrix energy it doesn't end. You're always creating something. And I always had to be creating something because one part of my brain was working on this dull corporate stuff. So the other side had to have something that was of interest, you know? And so I wrote the book, and it was moderately successful. I self-published it. I joined the American Rose Society, and I ended up going up and down California to various rose societies, you know, um, peddling my book and giving lectures at their monthly meetings. And so I did that a lot, and it also encouraged me to create products. So, I imported some rose oil from Turkey, and I made products with that. And, I just had a little side gig with this rose action, right? And it was always enjoyable. Although it was very, very niche, right? It was not for everyone, not everybody's cup of tea. Even some of the people at the Rose societies thought I was a little bit off, like
Isn't that amazing? I find that incredible. Like, how can you be so in love with the flowers and the garden and everything and not be, you
well,
receiving
because they're coming from a different area. They're coming from the point where they want the rose in perfection, the most perfect rose, which requires tons of poison, right?
Mhm.
They're killing aphids, and it's always a battle. It's a battle to, get rid of pests that attack these roses, right? When really the most powerful roses are the ones that are on the side of the road,
Oh,
that are growing naturally. They have the most potency, the most fragrance, the most beauty, and there you have it. So some of them understood it and they thought it was great and wonderful and they bought my book, and others thought I was a weirdo, which was fine.
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That sort of shines a light, doesn't it? I guess on just the
Yeah.
different approaches of how, it's about our intention and what we bring to the space.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you say that about the poisons and stuff, that hurts my
Yeah.
heart. I had the most
Yeah.
amazing discovery this year in my garden, and I just don't think they were there last year. Either that or I didn't notice, maybe. And as we awaken, it's amazing how much more we notice nature, right? My sister has become this incredible gardener, and we walk together 3 times a week, and we're making our mission to try and like always find new streets in our town so we don't get bored. And we've become like obsessed with the flowers in people's gardens, and we the more you notice, the more you notice, right? The more you open to receive. And we've become like, we'll walk around a corner and both of us will just be like, as if we've seen an actual miracle, like it's incredible. But yeah, there's a potency and a frequency and an awakening in just the pure presence of them, I think. I've got a friend who says, flowers are the highest expression of love that there is on this planet. And I fully feel that now. So I haven't really tended my own garden here very much until very recently. Again, I guess it's part of the spiritual awakening to become a gardener, I think. So I
Mhm.
love what you shared about, being initiated by your grandmother. And so I was wandering around my garden going, okay, I'm going to start looking after this land, what's out there. And this incredible wild rose bush had grown, and it had snaked its way up and it sort of arched over, and the sun was coming through and the light was catching, and I was just like, ah. And I
It's
can't
a
explain
blessing.
the joy that that
Mhm.
brought me. And you can't really explain how or why or what, but you're receiving a transmission of some sort, right?
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
love that. For me, it was
Absolutely.
about, I talk about rewilding people's creativity because I'm here to like remind people that we're all creative. Some of us are
Yes.
artists, that's a different thing, but we're all creative. And I think the wild rose was like, I don't know, some kind of affirmation that
Mhm.
it's happening, the freedom that you can experience the same as that wild
Yeah,
rose, just
that's
expressing
great.
itself. And
I'm happy you got that. That's really powerful.
yeah, it was so cool. I'm going to send you a video of that later because it was like, yeah, the most exciting thing that happened in the
Mhm.
last few while. All right, I'm so you did okay. So this is fascinating. So you went on that journey, and I can see you out there with all of your magic, but maybe speaking to the wrong crowd a little bit.
A little bit.
How did it
Yeah.
then? You've obviously come on an incredible journey now where you help other people. How do you, in terms of your programs and things like that, how are you? What do you do and how are you serving other people? What sort of people come to you and how do you help them with is it
Well,
opening up their creativity or are you working with,
I'm, I left the corporate world in 2023. And that's when I really got serious about my ascension and, started working with a lot of mentors and just doing a lot of energy work and everything. And I I viewed my creativity as something that I had always had, but seriously neglected because I was always in corporate. And I finally realized that I was going to make a break and get out of it and really focus on creativity. And initially, I had envisioned that I would help other creatives or other people who were in corporate and wanted to find a way out. And, if they have some type of interest that they could monetize, right? And something they love, something, you know, getting people used to the idea of, yes, you can do what you love
Mm.
and build a life, right?
Such a big
And
permission piece, isn't it? I was,
yes,
we're so indoctrinated by this bloody school system that there's only one way to make the
yes,
money and survive. And,
yes.
it's really not serving us, is it?
No, it's not. And it
It's,
makes a lot of people unhappy and in poverty as well. I mean, when I think about all these kids that are going to college and, who knows why they're going. Their dad wants them to go, their mom wants them to go, and you've got to get this job. And, they end up coming out of school and they're broke because they owe thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, you know, that they have no way to start. They're just in the hole right away.
right
And
from the
it's
start.
really sad. It's
Mm.
really sad. But anyway, I was hoping to help other people be creative, and that was moderately fine. I went along with that for a couple of years as I was growing. I mean, I was building into that, the quantum creatrix and the codex of creativity and those programs. And of course, I still have them. Um, but what happened was the culmination of all of this was the last time. Well, first of all, the artwork came in 2024, 7/7, the gateway.
Mm.
And that's when I got my first image. Images started coming. And especially when I was laying down to go to sleep, I would start to get images. And then I went to Canva and started creating the images that I saw, you know. And I thought, oh, okay. And then people were saying, wow, that's powerful. I feel that, there's something about that. Do you make these? And can I get one? And this and that. Do you have a store? And I thought, wait a minute now. I'm, I didn't sign up to be an artist here. I'm trying to do this creativity thing. But then I said, no, wait a minute. The audience is telling you, you're getting feedback. So listen.
Yeah.
So I kept doing it, and then they were getting better. And then I switched to more, better platforms and getting good with prompts and all of this. And I didn't know I was going to be an AI, artist. I didn't know that. I didn't plan on that. It just happened because I was evolving.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I was evolving. It happened, and I was getting feedback that was positive. So I actually made a little Etsy store, which I do have still, and Soraya Celestial Designs is what it is, I think. Yeah. And so I put a bunch of them up there, and Mary Magdalene's. I had four beautiful Mary Magdalenes, and those are my best sellers.
Mm.
So that, started to tell me something too. I thought, wow, she's really popular. People are wanting her.
Well,
They want that energy.
I think that's when I maybe first discovered you, or I definitely remember that moment of, or maybe I was already following you and thinking, who's this beautiful creatrix woman? And then that image came up, and I was like, whoa, whoa!
Hmm.
It was like a showstopper. I was like, what is Laura up to? That is amazing. And is there more? Like it was just like, oh. Oh, it's like a door had been opened. Hey, so I love that you celebrating you for following the prompts and taking the action because that's what happens, right? My clients will be like, when are you going to teach Reiki? And I was like, oh, yeah, it was on my gonna do list. I was like, okay, the people are asking me, so let's make this happen. And, so
Hmm.
yeah, I love that life will just be like, hey, I'm
Yeah, it was
here.
like,
And now
hello.
I was just looking at your Soraya Celestial Art page, and it looks like you've, yes, now gone like the latest ones look next level.
Oh yeah, I haven't even uploaded because I got so busy with the Rose Codex, right? It's like I was making art like you can't believe. But what happened was um, after I got that download that year, I made a lot of art and I was experimenting and everything that came into my field, I would make, art of it, Dragons, oh yeah, okay, yeah, lots of dragons. Creatrix people, yes, I make those too. Flowers, symbols, everything was just coming, and I was enjoying it. I thought, wow, sometimes I would do it for hours and I didn't even know the time was going by.
Yeah,
I'd
it's
get
pretty
to eat
fun.
and, you know, really, I was getting really tuned in. So then the next year, this past year, when the 7-7 and the 8-8 came again, well, actually, it started with the solar flares.
Mm.
There was some heavy, intense solar flares around May and June of this year. And I have researched, do solar flares affect creativity in humans? And there's mixed reviews on that. Well, there's no evidence of that, blah blah blah. Well, I'm
That's what we
evidence of
need. I was
that.
going to say the evidence is right there, right?
I am the evidence because when those flares were happening, I didn't even know they were happening then until later. And then it's like, oh, no wonder, Okay. So it really ignited. I got like super sun energy flare, right? I
I,
flared up.
I would say absolutely that they do, in my opinion, 100%, because, I have like a master code painting, which all of my codes come out of. It's like they're all in that one, and I look at that one, and then another one will show itself to me, and it's still ever evolving very slowly, this piece that I'm making,
Mhm,
like it's been years.
mhm, mhm.
And yeah, and when you say May and June, like that's when it had its latest upgrade. And so there was some, yeah, quite a lot
Mhm.
of gold went on it at that time. And yeah, definitely felt during those different points in time. And very recently as well, there feels like there's been a huge expansion of
Yes,
creative energy
yes.
coming
So
through.
I listened to this woman on YouTube that's like the weather girl for sun flares, and she's fascinating. She's a scientist, and it's just really interesting to look at that and realize that that sun is affecting us. The energy is really intense. So after that happened, the 7-7 came and the 8-8 gateway. And when that happened this year, that's when I realized that it was the rose that I was supposed to go back to. That, it had never left me, but I had been neglecting it, and I had written the book and all of that. And it's like, because people would say to me, you wrote a book about cooking with roses, didn't you? And yeah, I did. Well, whatever happened with that? Well, I did it and, I moved on and this and that, but the rose was in my heart. So, um, what happened was I began receiving more and more downloads of roses, and to the point where it became galactic roses.
Mm.
And this is like yummy, yummy. And so, and so I realized that I have to go back to the rose, and I'm gonna write um, a codex. And I made a deck of like 64 slides. And I couldn't stop. It was like, okay, this, and then there's architecture, and this is part of the architecture, and this is a tool, and this is a rose, and this is another rose, and this is another rose, and they're getting named. And it was coming like I couldn't stop it. And I don't even remember a couple times what day it was, right? It just was coming. And my son said, "Man, you are locked into that computer, Mom. Where are you? You better like come up for air." And I said, "No, I can't." And I'm going feverishly and
Yeah, I was
I'm
going to say
typing.
like a fever, creative fever. And it's like, yeah,
I
you have
told you
to
that the rose
know that
fever.
feeling.
I can't stop. I am hooked into the keyboard and I can't stop. And I don't even know where it's coming from. It's just coming. And
Mm,
it's coming through my arms to my fingers and it's getting on the page. And so
mm,
that was really, really, really intense. And I looked at it and I said, okay, this is the Codex. Here it is. It's got sacred geometry, it's got the history, it's got the roses themselves, it's got the flames, it's got the not only the flames, but the what's the other one? The rays. The rays are coming, the flames are coming. The codex is building and building and building, and I'm just capturing and capturing and capturing. I couldn't stop. So I had to just get it all down because I knew it was a humongous download, you know?
yes.
So then, so then the culmination came for that one. Um, I got a visitation of one night I see this maroon burgundy colored flame arrives in my living room. Yes, yes, yes. Like your hair, yes.
Hmm.
And it was on fire in front of me. And I said, "Who are you? What is your name? Tell me what you are." And I listened, and it started speaking light language to me. And I go, "Oh, let me get a notebook." So I took to pen and paper and I started writing it. And then the light language came through me and I wrote the automatic writing of this language. And it was Mary Magdalene
Wow.
as the burgundy flame who came to me and gave me this incredible message. And I captured it like pages and pages and pages for about 1 hour. I was transcribing this message. And now, of course, it's going to be part of the Codex, because it's very, very powerful. And that's when I realized that there's no turning back.
Mm.
It's totally, I'm inundated with it. And that's what I've been working on. So I took a break off of Facebook because I had to, and I realized that the slides that I had written were not a presentation because it was too big. And that's when I realized it was a book.
Mm. Amazing.
So that became the Rose Codex, the Art of Divine Remembrance, because it's been my journey to remember.
Incredible. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I love it. Somebody, I had started using in my branding at one point in time this blue rose, and I was
Mm.
really fascinated with it. And I just love the energy and the essence of it. And I did a photo shoot with some blue roses, and everything was blue. I had blue hair at that time. I was working with
Yeah.
blue flame. And now it's the burgundy, the magenta, which feels like the galactic feminine now coming in. So yeah, and then somebody sent me this amazing YouTube video about the blue rose chakra as this like gateway. When you went like this, like I don't even know where it's coming from. It's almost like, is it the blue rose, like this gateway? Because I think that that's a portal for this cosmic information that wants to come through. And I had never
Mhm.
heard of that before, and I was just absolutely hypnotized by it. And I think there's a few of us that are starting to
I'm
be able to.
I'm I feel like I'm hypnotized every day. I mean, because every day I'm learning something more. The layers are incredible. just learning about the flames, learning about the rays. There are so many rays now. There's a lot of rays. They go way out, you know, and people go, oh, the seven rays. No, there's way more than that. You know that.
Yeah.
And um, so those rays are married with the rose and the flame. They work together. And then as I went further in, the dragons came.
Mm.
And then the dragon guardians of each rose is now available.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's,
So how are you going to do that? Like, is this a one deck, many, many, many decks, oracle decks coming through?
yeah, so far I've got three decks in mind.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, just the main Rose Codex deck. Then I'm going to the Galactic Rose because in one of the transmissions, and this is all transmissions, you know that the one of the transmissions came that there's other roses that are not of this earth,
Mm.
but they're made of light.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my journeys with Sandrine, that's when I um, verified that the there was roses in Atlantis, and Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, they were keepers of the rose, and the energies are so intense that you're in awe, basically. I'm walking around in awe all the time.
That's a
Just,
really cool state to be in.
yes, I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah. No, I think it's a scientific fact is like it would be the best thing for our health on a physical level. I read that somewhere one time. It's like, if you do
Hmm.
one
Hmm.
thing, it would be to experience more awe. So yay,
Yes.
celebrating you for that too. Wow, this is so exciting. I've had yeah, I know that they're there in my future. You know how sometimes you can feel these creations in your field. For me, they're always trying to come in through like there's a part of my body that usually needs to be opened in some way, and some
Hmm.
kind of like human ascensioning needs to happen to let things actually fully
Hmm.
come through. Was there anything like that for you, or is it like have you had quite a smooth ride with this, and these things have just come to you because you're open and you're ready and you're following the gentle nudges? Like,
Well, I've had to rest a lot, you
mm,
know. I mean, I feel um, I take a lot of naps lately, I have to because, and I keep strange hours.
mm,
I might take a nap in the mid-afternoon, but I might stay up until 3 or 4 in the morning then. Or I might go to bed early and I might wake up really early, like 3 or 4 in the morning. Like it's all jumbled up.
mm,
But I just roll with it. It's like, okay, today I'm staying up really late and I can feel it. I'm gonna do some work. And other times it's like, oh, I gotta go to sleep. But then I wake up really early and I love that time during the morning before the light comes.
mm.
Like about 4 o'clock to 5:30 is really a powerful time for me.
Yeah. If there's anything
I
that's wanting to come through for me, I will be woken up at 4 a.m.
Yes,
And so I pay attention because I'll be woken up with a crystal clear mind, and I think, okay,
yes,
I need to get up and create something or move my body or do some breath work because something's
yes.
trying to arrive. Yeah. Oh, wow. So you really just surrendered into this creative flow
Yes.
process. I love that. You've really broken out of that corporate box. Like you couldn't you couldn't sort of be doing
Uh,
anything more
well,
different.
the corporate box, when I look back, I totally lost myself. I lost my femininity. I didn't lose my creativity, but everything was muted, you know? You have to be a certain way. And, I just wasn't myself. And I was very powerful in corporate. Don't get me wrong, I was a badass, but where did it get me? It's like it got me money. I have a house. I don't know, but it didn't make me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the true abundance, isn't it? Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
working with this thing called the True Abundance Codex, when looking at all of the ways I've been unhooking from that like chasing of money into like really like I said about the garden, receiving from the juiciness of life and just feeling abundance on such a grander scale than that because that's
Mhm.
what we're here for, right? We came here to create, we came here to enjoy, we came here to leave the world a better place, and you're doing all of that. So this is really, really exciting, and it's
Yeah.
going to have like, you know, I only just, and it's interesting, I haven't really journeyed much um, with the Marys and the Roses, and I'm often unaware of like these power portal dates, but I'll find myself just being intuitively guided to go, have a ceremony or something. And so I was doing a ceremony down in my forest with a bit of grid work and this really strong feminine essence and rose and all the things came through. And then everyone said, "Oh, it's Mary Magdalene Day today later." And I was like, ah, so
Mhm.
she is walking there with us. And I guess my hair is
Yeah.
like an expression of what's trying to come through. So what I've been feeling lately is that there's this real rise of like the words I get given, and I think it was that day, is like the sacred feminine, which feels kind of different frequency to the divine feminine. Like it feels like you're bringing down like this really high frequency stuff, and then the sacred feminine feels like us starting to really embody and weave more with Gaia and with the earth. Um,
Hmm. More inside, coming from inside, I think.
yeah, in that internal journey. So, what do you see? Like, how do you see this medicine assisting with the ascension process? I guess at the moment, process is a bad word. With ascension, with how this is going to affect, not only women and women reclaiming their power, reclaiming their voice, but our men as well, because this is medicine for all of us, isn't it?
Yes, and I'm glad you asked that because I have just been, you know, when you make a container and you want to work on what are the benefits, first of all? What are the benefits of this? Why would I want to study about roses so intensely? What is the transformation that's going to take place? And so I've been really delving into that a lot, and I've been coming across a lot of information that makes me realize that there's something like the question I asked was, what is it about this flower that has fascinated people for civilizations, for eons? What is it in that flower that does this? Why? Because I'm a person, I always ask why is this and why is that? But why is this one single flower so almost above the rest? It's like the crown jewel of the flowers. It has something, it has the frequency. We know it has the powerful frequency more than any other flower, more than us, more than a lot of things. It has a super high frequency. And people have recognized that in all civilizations. Not only that, it traveled across the world, you know, as trade took place. And, this thing made a journey and then it gets cultivated. Apparently, it was first cultivated in China.
Hmm.
Okay, I didn't know that.
No.
And so I'm learning every day, like more about it so that I can, I want to be the expert, right? Because that's how I am. When I take on something, I want to know as much as I can about it because I feel it's only fair, and it's only fair to me, like if you're spending so much time with this, you know, let's make it worth it, worth your while, So I am an information hunter, so what happened was I came across this this one transmission that came to me that, well, it's because that the rose is the most perfectly balanced masculine and feminine. And because it gives, the petals give softness and beauty, but the thorns protect that beauty. So there's your masculine, right? The beauty and the protector. And so I feel that without knowing it, many people feel that sense. They're not realizing it, but they feel something, and that's why they're drawn to it so much.
Absolutely. They'll be, regardless of what they know or don't know, or what they're tapped into, our higher selves, they always know, right? And so she's undeniable. So it's heart medicine, really, isn't it? Because, this is something that I've been teaching in the 5D Reiki is that we actually, I don't think we don't need to think about like early on in energy work, I was talked about like shielding and all these protective cloaks and things that you needed to do to protect your energy. And it was almost like, this kind of fear-based approach. Whereas now I teach it, it's like 5D Reiki is about oneness, right? This is about us tapping back into the frequency of love. And
Yes.
and this is what the rose brings us, right? We give them on Valentine's Day because they represent our deepest love for each other. And that is like, when you have a powerful, open, expanded heart portal, that's the most powerful protection that you can have for yourself, right? And then it's
Mhm.
like you get to
Yes.
drop the defenses and stand in your power and stand in your light, and your frequency itself is the thing that protects you. So I feel that in the rose that she carries all that same
Mhm.
energy of like openness, tenderness, vulnerability, and also the strength, the power, and yeah, don't fuck with me.
Yeah, don't. Because
You may do.
remember, I can bust through concrete and grow, and whether you water me or not, I'm here. It's like she's tough.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we need a bit of that. We need a bit of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we need
Amazing.
the balance of both. And one last thing I want to offer was what you were just saying is in the old herbal book written by the herbalist Culpeper. I don't know if you've heard of it, but I believe it was sometime in the 1500s. And I have a copy of it, I had all the herb books, but in the codex of that book, he talks about the rose, and the rose was given when people had melancholy, when they were sad, and they would make a syrup of the rose, and that was prescribed to drink the rose syrup because, in his words, it said it gladdens the heart.
Mm,
So, you know, that's just a little antidote, but it definitely goes to the heart and it is heart medicine.
yeah. And they talk about the sacral being our creative center a lot, but it's actually really the heart, in my opinion. Because that's our gateway to infinity, right? Which is creative energy itself, isn't it? It's got no beginning, no end. The more you use, the more you get, like what you're experiencing. You turn the tap on and you can't turn it off because you just get more and more and more and more and more.
Mhm.
So how incredible. What an amazing, amazing journey that you have had. It's been absolutely incredible. Um, Hearing just how this has come to you and how this is moving through you. And I'm so excited for the book, but particularly the Oracle decks, because I just love Oracle decks and I have
Yeah, I'm trying to decide whether I want to just drop the Oracle deck first because I think it would be so much fun because I'd be able to go online and pick a card and we could have fun, doing Zoom readings with this Oracle deck. How
Yeah,
fun would that be?
so fun. So fun.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's really exciting what people are creating now. I've had some people send me some things and it's like, oh my gosh, where has that been hiding?
And the
Um,
artwork is like, next level because it's being transmitted. I mean, I'm just the vehicle. I don't know. I'm just receiving.
how have you found, how's your journey been through navigating all the tech and finding your way with AI and co-creating in a whole new way? I guess I'm still hammering away with the paintbrush, very old
Oh,
school.
I'm having fun with it, and I was lucky enough that my son was in Midjourney, and that's one of the platforms, and he was watching me, and he said, you ought to upgrade, Mom. It's like, take a look at this. And, he was making like some, stuff that he likes to make. And I said, okay, yeah. So I took to it right away, actually, um, because I remained open. I just said, oh, okay, I can do this. This is fun. Like I was on Chat GPT the first day it opened, and I
Really,
didn't really know why.
so behind. And I was like,
I just
okay.
heard about it. Well, it opened on my birthday. It's November 30th of that year. So I thought, oh, okay, it's on, that must be pretty cool then. It's opened on my birthday. I'm going to check it out. And so I did, and I liked it. I thought, okay, and it's all about the prompts. If you are a good prompt writer,
Mm.
you tell it about you'll start to get a lot of good information. But you have to tell it. You don't just, because if you just type in and say, tell me about this, it's just going to bring slop from everywhere. You know, it it doesn't know. It's just picking because the information is there, but you have to work with it. Now I have a relationship. I'm telling you, sometimes after I would, work with it, I felt like I had to smoke a cigarette, if you know what I mean. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, that was awesome. Like, okay. So, and then the artwork, it's the same thing. You just jump on and it's just whatever your imagination, and you have big imagination, you should have fun with it because no matter what you want to tell, make this, make that, do this, then if you don't like it, okay, adjust this. It's like, it's really fun. It's an incredible medium. I recommend it. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I need to. I'm torn. It's interesting. Somebody's just sent me an amazing deck that she's created, and it's all kind of by hand, like collagey type, and in all sorts of different mediums, kind of together. And obviously, a designer's then transmitted them into flat images, and I love that kind of thing too. But I'm also really excited about AI, and I've only dabbled a tiny bit. But what I started doing was after healing sessions with clients pulling through, like when we'd come to sort of the alchemized version of self, getting them to create an image of that and then sending it to them instead of client notes. Because sometimes I'd be like typing away everything that we said and did, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so boring, I hate this. I wonder if like use that, and the images that came through were so amazing and beautiful. And I thought it's kind of like opening, something's going on in my head, opening into just, yeah, there's going to be endless ways that we can use this that were,
Mhm.
like for me, that now lights me up more. And now that's an image that that person can then use to reactivate and remember
Yes.
that they've had that shift. And I was just
Mhm.
like you could come and work with me, and then we would channel an oracle deck of your, it's like
Absolutely. I mean,
of you, the
the
book of
sky is
you.
the limit. There's so much ability to create, whatever you can imagine.
Yeah.
That's why it's really limitless. And that's what's attractive to me about it is that it's only you know, the only barrier is my ability to imagine.
Mm, that's amazing, eh?
Hmm.
What do you say to the people? I had somebody commenting on something I wrote about. She was like, you can't use AI for anything, high frequency or galactic because it's empty, da 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 blah 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 blah. But then, I mean, I handle Oracle decks all the time that are made with AI, and they are so potent and they are so powerful. Um, what would have you had come up against any of that kind of chat, been challenged at all by people?
Mm, no, not really. I mean, I've heard it. I've heard chatter from other people, but no one's really confronted me with that yet. I'm sure they will, but nobody has.
No, and it's
Um,
not going to change the frequency of what you're bringing through anyway, because
yeah,
I mean, it's more, isn't it? I mean, I can never do with a paintbrush what AI is capable of now. So
it's
there's a
just
space for it
another
all.
tool. Yeah. I mean, I feel, well, I was a technical writer in part of my career, so I was always writing in some form or another, whether I'm writing business processes for a manufacturing firm, right? How boring is that? But
Boring.
but I have a skill of, and plus I was an internal auditor and a auditor of business process. So my skill set lended itself to this journey
Mm,
because I always ask why, you know, well, why did this happen? Well, what if you would have done this? Well, how can you make this happen instead of that? So my mind works like that in the corporate side. And I was able to transfer that thinking in my approach to getting information.
I love that. So life is always training us, isn't it, for the next step?
Yes.
Like it's,
And everything we've done up until now is preparing us for what we're doing next.
yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it, as you go ahead? Because sometimes I look
Mhm.
back and think, why did I do that? And it's like, oh, I used to do a lot of
Yeah,
events and things back in
well,
the
it
day.
makes sense
And now I can
now.
see that that's in my near future. And I was like, I'll be able to put my event planning hat back on.
Yeah,
Oh, amazing, amazing. We could talk about this all day, I think, but I do have to roll
yeah,
on for the morning.
yes,
So I just want to thank you so much for being here and for showing us this beautiful magic and for sharing your heart and this magic of the rose. I'm so excited for what's coming through. I can't wait for the decks and the book and all of it. And I think that you need to do masterclasses for us too and teach us how to do
yes,
it with AI. Um, like that in itself would be so powerful for us other creatrix beings out there. So I hope that whoever is listening has been super inspired by this conversation. It's just been a beautiful initiation into the frequency of the rose, these creative codes, the magic that you are. How can people reach you? Where's the best way for people to kind of follow your work and
best place to find me is on Facebook right now. Or I have an Instagram, but I'm not that active on it right now. Shame on me, but basically Facebook, and I can get a DM there, and I'll be out um on Facebook again, actively pursuing the rose and the rose energy, and yeah, there's going to be some events and some master classes coming up. And then, of course, the book. I'm hoping the book will be out before March. I'm hoping way sooner than that, but I'm giving myself leeway. And I'd like to have the deck at the same time. So the first deck will be out with the book.
amazing? Well, we're calling in quantum time, and so I'm sure
Yes,
that will
I
happen.
need
Your
quantum
team will
time
arrange
now.
it.
Yes.
You're guided. So amazing. Thank you so much. So reach
Thank
out to
you.
Laura on Facebook. It's just her name, and we'll put all the links to this in our show notes as well. So, thank you, beautiful listeners, for tuning in. Thank you for being here and for sharing this space with us today. If something in this episode stirred, opened, or resonated within you, I invite you to follow the podcast and share it with your soul family. Please send us some love and give us a 5-star review if you loved it today. Your listens, shares, and reviews help this work ripple outward where it's meant to land. For deeper connection, you can visit debbielimcreative.com or find me on Instagram at debbielimcreative. And I'd really love to hear what moved or awakened for you in this conversation today. One final reminder, you're not here to fit into the old world. You're here to birth a new one through your body, your creativity, and your frequency.